It says we're going live.
Oh.
Chris, I'd like to surprise you. I've lost it. You ready?
Go on then.
It's too far away.
What is that?
It's a Lego monkey.
I haven't seen one of them for years. Is it official Lego or is it knockoff Lego?
I don't know. I think it's official Lego. I don't know.
Well, that's just extra special.
I found it under the sofa. It probably
is it.
I don't know where it came from. I just found it.
This is top quality.
This is amazing.
This is what people tune in for.
It is. This is what everyone's missed and been pining for. This is what the world needs right now, in this crisis when military planners are being marshaled together, and there are literal military operations. They need us.
And people won't stay indoors no matter what Boris Johnson says.
No, they won't, because people are inherently morons.
I suppose, yeah, we are in a way, aren't we?
We are. We should probably say who we are and why we're in the shower.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, my name's Ben.
We'll go alphabetically.
And yeah, you're right.
You got to say your name, where you're from.
Okay.
And your top 3 Hilary Swank films.
My name's Ben. I am from the centre of the universe, Derby, and my top 3 Hilary Swank films are Die Hard, Predator, and oh gosh, what would the third one be? Pretty Woman. How about you?
I was just curious to see if you could name 3 Hilary Swank films. That was all.
I don't even know who she is, mate.
Okay. My name is Chris. I'm from Kettering, although currently broadcasting from North Devon. And my top 3 Hilary Swank films are $1 Million Baby, Insomnia, and Karate Kid 2 or 3. I can't remember which one she's in.
What does she even look like? I'm going to Google Hilary Swank. I'll probably recognise her. Hilary Swank. No idea who she is. She was in P.S. I Love You. That's why I don't know who she is. Because
have you not seen $1 Million Baby?
Probably. I don't know.
A-level philosophy class, euthanasia, $1 Million Baby. That just saved our teacher actually planning a lesson. We just watched $1 Million Baby.
I don't know. Why would a baby be worth $1 million?
Actually, I don't get the title. It's about boxing.
It says film about boxing called $1 Million Baby.
This is how we open. Gonna explain the plot of the film. Right, it's a Clint Eastwood film.
Okay.
Starring Clint Eastwood and Hilary Swank.
Okay.
She's a young female boxer.
Okay.
And he's her coach, I think, manager, whatever.
Right.
She's really good. And then someone sucker punches her, I think.
Okay. That's quite a good film.
Because she's winning a fight. Someone hits her. She falls over, breaks her neck on the stool at ringside, I think. You know, they put the stool in the corner so they can sit down and get water in the face and all of that.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the film is Clint Eastwood's decision to kill her, basically.
Right.
Because she doesn't want to live anymore because she was all active and now she wants to die, sort of thing. So it's an ethical dilemma for Clint Eastwood.
Okay.
That's where we begin. Our light-hearted broadcast.
That was hilarious.
Euthanasia.
Oh, dear me. So why are we in the shower? Maybe we should explain to people why this is called In the Shower. you want to do that, or shall I?
The actual explanation or a fake one?
Let's each give one, and people have to figure out why.
So who goes first?
You go first.
Okay, so I get to decide whether I give the real one or the fake one, and then you just have to come up with whatever.
If you decide to do the real one or the fake one, yeah.
Okay. Ooh, that's a tough decision.
While you're thinking about it,
you can give the real one.
No, I'm gonna give you and everybody else a competition. Oh, by the way, Dan asks, whereabouts are you in North Devon? Do you want to give out your precise location on the internet?
Well, it's not a very precise location. If I said Ilfracombe.
Okay. Cool.
That's a fairly large town.
It is.
Which Dan is that?
Dan Pocock.
Oh, I don't know who that is. It'd be really bad if I did know who that was. It was a little while back. I was at church and I was in one of those really friendly moods.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh look, there's a visitor. I'll go over and say hello. You on holiday? All of that sort of stuff, because we're in a seaside town. And I went over, did that. And I said, are you on holiday? And she said, no, I'm here every week. And I just quickly left.
That's glorious.
And I've never greeted anyone at church since.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. Where were we?
I was going to give a competition.
Oh, go on then.
So I've drawn a picture. So I'd like you, if you're in the chat, to guess what my drawing is of. And Chris, I'd like you to try and guess as well throughout the however long this will go on for. Probably another half an hour. So otherwise my brain will explode with insanity.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
What?
Why is this called? Why are we in the shower?
Oh, I thought you were going to show a drawing.
No. Not yet.
It's called In the Shower because back when me and Ben were at Bible college, we had the habit of showering together, not in the same shower, in adjacent showers, and discussing weird theological issues. That's it.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My explanation is that Chris and I, obviously, we met at Bible college and we're good friends to chat about stuff. And I came up with the idea to do this podcast while I was in the shower. One of those is normal. One of those is weird.
Which one is the real one? The normal one or the weird one?
I think if somebody's never listened to a conversation between us before, they might not know. I feel if anybody has picked up on anything in the last 10 minutes, it should be the right answer.
Oh, everyone's crazy already. It's fun.
Everyone's already crazy.
Yeah, everybody's deep down. Everyone's mad. Once the door's closed and it's just you and your close family, everyone goes crazy then, don't they?
It's true.
We've got those little weird things.
Have you ever done that thing where you pretend that your fingers or your hands are windscreen wipers while you're in the shower, and you turn the shower head onto the tiles, and then you stand there doing this? I can imagine that your fingers are windscreen wipers.
No,
I mean neither.
What? You're not wiping anything. Are you doing it on the wall, or are you just do it in the air?
No. You do so like on the tiles.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So not like that, because that would be pointless. But you kind of like that, and then you imagine that your fingers are windscreen wipers, and And then you can pretend that you're the rain, because obviously, if you're the windscreen wipers, then you're outside the car, right?
Yeah.
So then you can just.
So you're not imagining that you're in the car watching the windscreen wipers.
No, that would be silly.
You're outside the car as the windscreen looking into the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my reflection in the tiles, if I can kind of vaguely see it, because I'm quite blind, my reflection is like I'm looking at me inside the car through the lens, through the kind of hammering down the rain, and it's quite relaxing. Should try it next time.
Oh, the door just opened.
Martin says hi.
Which Martin is that?
Martin Not.
How do I see? Can I see the chat?
If you go to the YouTube video, yeah.
Oh, I can't. I've only got one phone.
Don't do that then.
I thought if I went into the chat, I'd be able to see it, but I don't. I can't. Apparently, I can leave messages, but I can't see other people's.
Yeah, that's on Zoom though, on what we're talking about. We're on Zoom and we're zooming on Facebook.
Oh, there's an iPad here. Maybe I can open that.
Oh, maybe you can.
Oh, this is exciting. What's Emma's password?
So you had some alternative titles for this though, didn't you?
Did I?
Yeah. This is going really smoothly, isn't it?
This is why we should have come up with an agenda in advance.
I had a funny story to tell about a B-Day.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
And you're going to segue me into the B-Day.
I could segue
me into the B-Day.
I'm going to have to think of a different segue now because it doesn't work.
Okay.
But with the coronavirus and all the loo roll being stolen, I mean, hidden away, people panic buying loo roll. Yeah. I did make the comment that in the world of people panic buying loo roll, the man with the B-Day is king.
Oh, funny you should mention B-Day.
Yeah, there you go. Oh.
I've got an amusing story about B-Day. It's not as gross as people might think. Well, maybe it is. I had a friend when I was younger called Sam. Now, Sam and his family had quite a big house, especially compared to ours, and they had like a whole guest annex thing downstairs, and it had its own separate bathroom and stuff. And inside this bathroom was this really odd, weird, low water fountain. And whenever I went over, Sam and I would often hang out in this little annex. And if I wanted to get some water, I would go and get some water from the very oddly placed water fountain. And when I eventually asked Sam, why is this really low and why is it sat right next to the taps? He explained that it was a B-Day, and I had been drinking on a regular basis from the B-Day. It explains a lot, I think.
I thought it was like a water fountain.
Yeah.
Just a little water fountain.
It was just, well, I'd literally never seen a B-Day before. So I was just like, what is this? I pressed the tap button. I pressed it and it just went, I'm like, okay.
It'd be clean though, wouldn't it? I'm sure it'd be fine. Nobody puts their butt like right on the tap thing.
You don't know.
I mean, I see, but I've never owned a B-Day.
I've never even used one, to be honest.
I have used one before when I was in Japan, but then all the toilets sort of have them built in.
Right.
And you're like, well, you know, it's better for the environment, isn't it?
True.
Right.
I suppose it is,
where do I find this on YouTube?
So if you go to...
I just typed in Ben Martin live stream and nothing. Like that's going to work.
So if you go to... I'm just going to read you the URL now. It's just the most boring. So if you search for in the shower with Ben and Chris, it might come up.
On the B-Day with Ben and Chris.
On the B-Day with Ben and Chris. Or in
Sharing a B-Day with Ben and Chris.
sharing a B-Day. Oh. Could you wash your feet? I suppose you could wash your feet in a B-Day.
Oh, I've just got a picture of Kimmel topless. That's all it's given me.
A picture of who topless?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel topless.
Yeah.
I know who he is.
Okay, I'm not going to find it, so I'm not going to be able to respond. That's fine.
That's fine.
Emma's iPad's about to run out of battery anyway.
So one of the things that Chris and I that we used to talk about was
endlessly for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, was Aliens, wasn't it?
Yes.
And we used to have. That's a very nice mug.
What, my one?
Yeah.
Are we gonna go to the mug story?
No, let's do that later.
When we fully run out of steam.
Yeah. So
look for sure. Aliens.
Yeah, we used to talk a lot about aliens, and particularly we used to. Oh, you look relaxed.
I'm just laid back.
We used to talk about whether or not aliens, from a Christian worldview, were saved or could be saved.
Or could be ordained in the Church of England.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing as being saved, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's You have to be you have to be in the you don't have to be you don't have to be saved to be I don't know what I was about to say. I thought
you don't have to be saved to be ordained in the Church of England, but it helps.
Yeah. So, Dan says aliens don't exist. I beg to differ, my friend. Have you seen Alien?
That's a documentary, isn't it?
It is.
And Predator.
Predator,
starring Hilary Swank. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was more of like a mockumentary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a strange. I don't know. It's like a side project that Hilary Swank did. She went to a cave, took a load of DMT, and
just after she won Mr. Universe, was it?
Yeah.
She bulks up massively, and then starred in Predator.
Yep. And got dreadlocks. To be honest, I heard they just kind of followed her around. It was supposed to be a documentary about about her becoming Mr. Universe, but she just ran off into a forest and murdered a load of people.
She didn't even know it. She didn't even know it was a film.
No, she didn't. She still doesn't. They've kind of shielded her from it.
That's my theory about Paul Rudd, actually.
Really?
I don't think Paul Rudd knows he's in films. I think they just film around him and put in explosions and all of that.
That makes so much sense.
He always looks like he doesn't really know he's in a film.
Yeah, he does. It's true.
Which might be called good acting. I don't know. But he's never that good, and he's always Paul Rudd. So
I was going to say he's not that good an actor. So anyway, yeah. So
do you think God made aliens then, Ben? Or life on other planets? And why?
I don't know. I think it's a possibility. I think that part of the problem with it's assuming that aliens don't exist, is the idea that humans are central, are the kind of the pinnacle of the universe, when they're not. God is. Does that make sense?
Aren't humans are made in the image of God. That makes us special compared to the rest of creation, right?
Yeah, yeah. But who's to say that there aren't other beings made in the image of God?
I know, because we debated on what the image of God meant, didn't we? Because people can always say, well, aliens don't exist because they're not mentioned in Genesis. But then neither are angels.
Yeah.
Mentioned in the creation. And also, I guess it depends how literally you want to take Genesis as well.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is a whole thing.
It's true, yeah. That is a
How
whole other
literally
thing.
do you want to take it?
What, whether or not Genesis is real?
So sort of where do you land? Where do you land on that? I know where you land on that, but other people don't, and it might be interesting to hear.
Where I land on creation? And creationism.
Yes, because I guess if we're talking poetic, then the argument that it doesn't say made sense doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? Because if it's poetic, then it's not.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't have to fit into that literal 7-day structure.
No, this is true. So I don't think that. I wouldn't subscribe to 7-day or 6-day creationism.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a young earther. I think that the universe is about 13.5 billion years old. I think that Genesis, rather than telling us how God did it, it tells us what God is like. It tells us God's intention, and it starts the story of it starts the story of creation, basically. So for me, it's the way I read Genesis is more about telling us about who God is, what God's doing, where humanity sits within the context of God's work on earth. That's how I'm happy to expand on that a little bit if you want me to. But where do you stand on it, or sit on it?
Ooh. Where do you sit on the B-Day? I've changed in the past couple of years. I think, because I came into contact with John Walton.
Yep.
Who is professor of Old Testament at some theological seminary in America.
Fulton, I want to say.
The only other one I can think of is Moody, and I don't think it's Moody.
No. He's not conservative for Moody.
Like Fuller or Moody's more fundamentalist, isn't it, Moody?
Yeah, Fuller's theological seminary. Yeah. He wrote a book called Old Testament Today. Is that him?
And he's The Secret. He often writes is it The Secret World or The Lost World? He does the Lost World of Genesis 1, or the Lost Adam and Eve, and then he's got The Lost World of the Flood or something like that.
Yeah.
All those series of books. But what he pointed out was that Genesis 1 uses a cosmology that is almost identical to how the ancient Egyptians would have viewed the world.
Yeah.
And so then you're stuck with either the ancient Egyptians got it right just by sort of guessing, or it's not as literal as you want it.
Yeah.
As a 6-day creationist would want it to be, but he's using the language that they would have understood, assuming that obviously that Moses is either the author or people say editor of Genesis.
Yeah.
Like he's taken an earlier oral tradition and then he's finally written it down. But in either case, it's using language that they would have understood, because to them the science would have been how the Egyptians understood what the world was like. And that it's kind of a play on the Egyptian creation story, but instead of all these different gods in control of different aspects of creation, you've got the one God that rules over all of it.
Yeah, that's kind of, that's essentially where I sit as well.
Yeah. I'm still open to, if Jesus comes back and it's like, oh no, it wasn't. Dinosaurs were there with Noah. I'll be like, that's fair enough.
Yeah. Well, I've tricked you.
Yeah. Because I think the point that he makes, that Morton makes a lot, is that science will tell you how the house got built, and Genesis will tell you how God turned the house into a home. And actually, that's a far more important story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely right. Tom Wright says a similar sort of thing. That to read it or to take it literally is to misread it, and is to do the text an injustice rather than read the text as it was always meant to be read. Chris asks, what do you think of the Hebrew Yom?
Oh, what, Yom as in day?
Yeah.
I think I'm no expert on Hebrew. I couldn't really add to that.
I just think it's a brilliant coincidence that, Yom means time, and they have a festival, the Day of Atonement, called Yom Kippur. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what the Kippur means. So obviously Yom Kippur is the Hebrew Day of Atonement.
Atonement.
Yeah. Yeah. So but like time atonement, I don't know.
I guess the question to do with the Hebrew Yom is then to sort of, I don't know if at the point that you're trying to get the literal meaning of Hebrew words is the point that you've already sort of misunderstood. Do you know what I mean? Because Ken Ham talks about that a lot. It's like, well, the word within context means a 24-hour day. But if a text is already poetic, then what that word means, it doesn't change, but the meaning is different in a way.
Yeah. Ken Ham's an interesting fella, isn't he?
Yeah. He did better than Ken Hovind because he paid tax, I assume.
Yeah. Well, I always thought there was a kind of an irony in Ken Ham, because he is an ardent
of all the books. Yes.
Ardent critic. He says that you can't, you're not really a proper Christian if you, all this sort of stuff, if you don't believe in a young earth and this sort of stuff. Yet he looks like the missing link.
Oh.
He does.
Oh, if
you watch this,
it looks like Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
That's what I always think.
I mean, they're kind of the same thing, aren't they? Really.
It's an interesting thing, but I don't think like him saying if you're not a six-day creationist, you're not a proper Christian, is then to rule out a lot of Christians for the past 2,000 years, because the literal six-day creationist movement is actually fairly young, isn't it? Doesn't it come about in the 1800s or something, and it starts in Seventh-day Adventism? It doesn't start within sort of mainstream or non-cult related Christianity.
Yeah, it starts within nonsense Christianity.
I mean, they were having debates about whether when they back in the day about whether God needed 7 days. They all assumed it was instant creation, and then the 7 days were poetic. So it would make sense to people, I guess.
Yeah, but of course it does. Chris has just said Kippur means atonement, because of course it does. Because if Yom means day,
that's what I said.
Oh, I'm a silly man. He's also said that he's heard the argument that Yom is only ever used as a literal day elsewhere. Which
I think the the difficulty is when you come to Genesis 1, though, is as a lot of, at least a lot of scholars that I've read, but I can't remember what their names are, citation needed, is that the genre in Genesis 1 only exists within Genesis 1.
Yeah.
That specific literary style. So it's very hard
Yeah.
to make any kind of assumptions about the text because we have nothing else to compare it to other than those ancient creation myths from other cultures. So it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is true. I think that I think that the argument as to whether or not it means day, as in 24-hour day, or whether it means period of time is, as you say, is kind of moot, because you wouldn't necessarily, like, why would you assume that they meant period of time? You would only assume that they meant period of time if they understood that they were writing about how God did it.
Yeah.
But they're not talking about the process, they're talking about the meaning.
Yeah.
So it's,
yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. So the point of whether or not it was a day or period of time, the meaning of the word, the literal meaning of the words, it's interesting, but it in terms of its in my view anyway, its theological significance is limited.
And all those other interpretations, I think the way I see it is you have to go either literal 6-day creationism, or I'll say 6-day, it annoys me saying 6-day because the Sabbath is important. It is 7-day creation. There's problems with 6-day creation is they forget the Sabbath and how important that is to creation.
Well,
you either go literal 7-day creation, or you have to go completely poetic, I think, or because anything in between just doesn't do justice to either.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
That kind of, I can't remember the guy that used to talk about old Earth creationism and all of that. I don't think the days are periods of time. I think it's just a completely different genre.
Yeah,
because the long periods of it doesn't make sense anyway, because you have birds and fish being created on the same day, whereas evolutionarily you'd have fish, then land animals, then birds come later.
Yeah.
So it doesn't line up on the time at all. You have light on Earth before the sun and all of that sort of stuff. So it's not.
Yeah.
And the Earth before the sun, which wouldn't fit. So it's like you have to go literal 6-day creationism, or you have to go poetic. I don't think you can have anything else.
So within the context of aliens, which is something that we might need to come back to.
We should stress we're not authorities on this at all.
Speak for yourself, mate.
We've got degrees, but we're not authorities. Like,
no, we're not. Absolutely not. By any stretch of the imagination.
No.
So aliens.
Yes.
I think that because at least in my view, Genesis doesn't talk specifically about like an actual act. Like it's not talking about how God did it. It's talking about God's relationship with creation.
Yeah.
It doesn't, at least in my view, it doesn't rule out the possibility of life on other planets.
Yeah. Whether he created it there or it evolved there.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah.
I think if it does exist, it was intended in the sense that God is immanent, like God exists throughout creation and upholds it and sustains it and guides it. But it, in the same way that we would say, I would say evolution is not blind, evolution is guided.
Yeah.
If the remotest chance, admittedly, but if aliens do exist, and if they're sentient, like if they have a moral compass of some kind.
If it's a predator rather than a xenomorph, for example,
Yeah, precisely.
has a moral compass rather than is a creature of pure instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris has just asked, do you think life on other planets are having their own YouTube streams, wondering if we exist and can be saved?
Maybe.
Maybe. I think that's the answer to a lot of questions.
Does that mean Jesus went there as well as one of them? And had a different alien name?
Only if the nature.
Because he's very Jewish, isn't he?
If there's one thing you can say about Jesus, it's that he was very Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Well, that's the thing. That's why Ancient Aliens and all that always falls apart. He had a guy at work telling me that Jesus was an alien. And I was like, he was a very Jewish alien. You know?
Sounds like the name of a sitcom, Jesus the Jewish Alien.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
I like the idea that there are sentient races out there, and probably races that are far more technologically advanced, or far more, I think they're maybe even spiritually advanced than we are.
Yeah.
And then them having to come to Earth and in some ways humble themselves in front of humanity when they find that God chose this little rinky-dink planet on the outside of the galaxy to have his son be born there and redeem that race over and above all these amazing civilizations that are up there, in the same way that God did that in Israel on Earth. He chose this little backwater kind of town to have that happen, and he wasn't born, son of the Roman emperor or anything like that. I like that idea.
It would be very Jesus, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And it would have that very much that kind of gospel parallel. Chris has asked again, if they have their own C of E, should the churches join?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we ended up in our discussions in the shower about aliens, wasn't it?
It was.
If bearing the image of God is necessary for someone to be a priest, because in my scenario, I would still settle that humans are the only ones made in of God, and therefore, is that necessary to be a priest?
What, to be made in the image of God?
Yeah. And it's like sort of when we start talking about probably far more likely is artificial intelligence. Robot priests. Would you want your priest to be an actual human?
Let's save that till next time.
It's not the same question.
Well, no, it's not. It's not. Because one is, so an alien is an externally created, formed being. A robot of some kind, whatever kind, is created by humanity.
Yeah.
So the idea of morality and ethics and identity is slightly different, I think, because you can at least make the argument that an alien is created in the image of God, in the sense that all of creation displays the glory of God. So you can argue that that aliens display the glory of God in some way, at the very least, and at the very least point towards Jesus.
In the same way that a chicken does.
Yeah. In that in that a chicken lays an egg,
Yeah.
and women lay eggs, and they contribute towards creation.
Okay. That chicken humbled itself as its ancestors were dinosaurs.
Yeah, precisely. I think we probably need to
But
finish
it's
soon.
so it's just about because machines are artificial.
Yeah.
But then they would be made by people made in the image of God.
They would.
It might be like a cheap imitation, though.
Yeah. So I guess the question would be: so Chris says, don't our creations have potential to display the glory of God? So if we created artificial life, doesn't that too have potential to display glory of God? Yes. I think it's more about identity. So what, and soul and spirit, and
it's a ontological thing.
That's a big word. Yeah.
Is that the right word?
Yeah.
It's a state of being rather than a state of doing, sort of thing.
Yeah. And there's a very simple argument, or I guess one way of looking at it would be that anything that is created by humanity is effectively a tool. That we create things that do, we don't create things that be. The creation of human life is a slightly different one, in that the Bible talks quite clearly about being knit together in our mother's womb. So we are participating there in the creation of life, but we're not the creators of it. But when we create artificial life, I think artificial is the key word there. We're not creating.
But if it got intelligent enough that it started asking these questions and then wanted to be a priest, would you turn it down?
I think I would have to ask the question. Well, I would have to ask the question: why are you asking? Why does this created thing? Why does this robot want to do this? Is this part of its programming? Is this something that it's been told it needs to do, or is this?
I guess we're talking about a point at which they are making a fully free decision.
Yeah,
that must be the point at which it passes all whatever that test is that they check robots for to see how human they are.
Yeah,
the point at which we can't distinguish between them and another person at that point. But then you wouldn't know, would you, unless they told you?
No, you wouldn't. And I think, and I think that would be the challenge: is how can you tell whether or not a robot is free or not?
But how can you tell whether we're free or not?
Oh,
you said we needed to finish soon, so
yeah. So let's finish on that question: are we free or are we not? Well, no, at the moment we're not, because our government is tyrannical. I mean, being nice.
There's a fine line.
There is. Yeah, I think very briefly, I think the lockdown measures are quite a good thing.
They have to be, yeah. I can't imagine any conspiracy behind it.
No.
It's just, we have to protect the old folks and make sure the NHS doesn't get burnt out on people that could have kept themselves safe.
Yeah, exactly. Chris says machine learning effectively uses definite boundaries to decide for itself. It's called the Turing test, like the film.
Oh, is that the test to?
That's Turing.
From Alan Turing, the father of computing.
Yeah. Here we go. A Turing test is a method of inquiry in artificial intelligence for determining. Oh, that doesn't actually explain what it is.
Is that the test I was talking about? To test it to the point the person can't distinguish between the AI and an actual person.
Yeah, so it's yeah, so it's whether or not it can respond to human, basically.
It might pass the Turing test, but I hope it gets out of the uncanny valley when it does, because those horrible rubber things that look like people but aren't people.
Yeah,
That's pure nightmare fuel to me. Someone who grew up with automatonophobia, which for me manifests itself as me being terrified of shock dummies.
were you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, you always got that. Normally in an army surplus store,
Yeah,
you get that one that sort of looks like a man. Like, you normally had like blonde hair, but it was like real hair. That one was by far the worst for me. And there was an army surplus shop in my hometown, and one was right at the back, and I didn't know he was there until I sort of bumped into it, thought it was an actual man, then realized it wasn't a real man, and then was just sort of stuck there in complete terror.
that sounds genuinely quite worrying and terrifying.
Yeah, that's not a fun. But I grew out of it, so I'm okay now.
Oh, that's good. Just imagine you walking around Primark, not these days, obviously.
Oh, and all the shop dummies are nice now because they're not humanoid. It's like they burnt someone's face off and chopped their arms off, so it's much easier to deal with.
Yeah, it's. I think basically what they did was they had complaints from people like you.
Yeah.
And so people like you, like you,
we're in a club.
And thought, you know what, we can't do this. So they took them all outside, blowtorched their faces off, and
chop their arms off.
Chop their arms off. So
sometimes
outside,
it's just a torso as well.
Yeah. So outside Primark shops, you'll find sort of unmarked graves.
Yeah.
Of sort of body parts of. This ended well, didn't it? So at the beginning,
we started on euthanasia and we ended on
unmarked graves behind Primark.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, Chris, I'd drawn a picture.
Yes.
Would you like to guess what it is?
Sure. Are you talking to me or to chat?
I'm talking to you, but also to chat.
Okay.
And I'm gonna talk a little bit because there's about a 20-30 second delay.
All right.
So you guess first, and then hopefully by the time I've said this, people have put stuff in the chat, and then by the time you've given your answer, people have made suggestions.
Okay.
Make sense?
Do I need to make any delay?
No, just guess what I've drawn.
Okay.
You get 2 questions to identify it. There we go.
Oh, okay. Is it appearing? Is it somewhere? Am I supposed to go somewhere to see it?
No. It's drawn on this piece of paper here.
Oh, okay.
It's drawn on this piece of paper. What is it?
Go on then.
No, you've got 2 questions to try and guess what it is.
Oh, I thought the drawing was gonna be so. I thought you'd intentionally drawn it weird, so it wouldn't be obvious what it was.
No, you've got 2 questions to try and guess it.
Got 2 questions.
Yeah, that's it.
Animal. Can I ask 1 question? That is sort of 3 questions.
Yeah, that's fine.
From the old game, animal, vegetable, or mineral.
Oh yeah, go on.
Well, that's the first one. Animal, vegetable, or mineral.
I don't think it counts as any of them.
Oh, so it's like a concept or something.
No, it's not a concept. It is a thing.
When we've worked out what it is, I'll tell you which one of those it would have fallen under.
Okay, you can ask another question then.
Okay. How many? I don't know.
I guess it would be under mineral.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And is it in this country?
Yes, I think.
Oh, you think?
Well, no, yes, it is. It is, but there are more than one of them.
And 2 questions clearly isn't enough, is it?
One more. Come on, chat.
Oh,
Give me your ideas.
can I eat it?
Be uncomfortable. No, you can't. You can't eat it.
Do I have to get what it is now?
Yes.
Based on the fact that it's a mineral, there's lots of them in this country, and I shouldn't eat them.
Yes.
Mm.
This was a terrible idea.
Is it?
If you guess this, I'm gonna lose my.
Oh,
Come on,
Is
chat's
it?
going wild. I'm getting a shrug.
oh. I don't know why I'm trying to think so hard. I've got no way of guessing what it is.
It's okay. I'm going to give you.
Give me a clue. Go on.
I'm going to give you the closest clue. You will find this in most offices.
Is it a stapler? Smashed it.
It's a stapler that has got written on it, "I am the staple." Oh, my words. That was the tensest thing I've ever experienced.
Ooh. So next time I have to draw something and you have to guess what it is.
Yeah.
In 5 years' time when we do this.
Well, I was going to ask you that, Chris.
Ooh.
Would you like to do this again in 5 years, or would you like to do this again same time next week?
Same time next. Oh, I can't do the same time next week because I will be at work. But the week after, I should be able to do this.
Okay.
I can do it alternate weeks.
Alternate weeks it is.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, aliens and robots, we will be back this time in 2 weeks.
In the shower.
In the shower with Ben.
And Chris.
Goodbye. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.